Hey man, did you see that tiny local card store is starting to carry Warhammer now?
Why?
Because the other one does too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everyone's got Warhammer now.
Everyone can carry Warhammer.
And I suppose Lego maybe. I mean, when are we going to set up our Lego wall?
Probably should have some Lego.
Yeah.
It's really more of a space problem than a wanting to carry it problem, you know?
I guess... again, I guess another sign of Games Workshop's size and equity, showing that even stores that never bothered with minis would bring some in because they're like, I need a piece.
How you doing, guys? It's good to see you again. It's Chris and Jay from Lords of War, and if you like these kind of videos, you can check them out a couple times a week, and if you really like them, you can go check us out on Patreon and support us with a few bucks a month, and even suggest some topics there for us to tackle. We usually take our Patreon suggestions because we like to help those people out. Yeah, I think it's really fascinating to me because the logical part of my brain is telling me we're in a very sort of unstable economic time, right? Interest rates are high. We're still dealing with the hangover of the Great Plague of our time. And a lot of people's wallets are pinched. The inflation has been like the biggest topic of the last 2 years.
Sure.
We've seen it across everything. And we're seeing all these like little shops pop up that do cards, which, you know, makes sense. And then start, you know, a year or two later they bring in the Warhammer, right? And you know, we're just for context, we live in a pretty small town. Like you could almost call Oakville a town. It's a city, but it's, you know, it's 100,000.
It's 200,000.
Is it 200,000?
It is, but
okay.
they desperately are clinging. They want to continue to be a town.
Right.
But I would say it's not a tiny. It's a whatever.
Yeah.
It's a city, but it doesn't have necessarily the room for like so many stores. Like there's definitely a saturation there, and then it's combined with what from space would look like a mega city because it's all the around. They call it the Golden Horseshoe. That's part of Lake Ontario. Is just like city after city after city, like in a long chain, basically. Yeah. Where like, I don't know, 10 million people live, but
sure.
But which does mean that in theory, if you live in Oakville, like you drive 20 minutes in either direction, east or west,
you're hitting new cities.
You're hitting the next big city that has
more people,
more hobby stores and people, and
So it's kind of fascinating. Like, and my sort of theory, or if I was to analyze this, my sort of base theory that I'm kind of going off of is, it's actually. And I think I mentioned this in our P3 video at the end. It's actually in times where things get harder, people tend to get really conservative, but also lean heavier on what they deem as like sure bets, right? So this is why we've seen in the last few years, you know, hobby shops, you know, kind of like really lean heavily on their pillars, you want to call them. Games Workshop, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons & Dragons. Those products are doing better than ever. And everybody else is sort of like fighting over tinier bits of scraps than probably I've seen in the last 15 years that's available for those companies.
Yeah, I think stores for, you know, there's different flavors. Like Card Store, I would rank Card Store as kind of and I don't mean to like belittle other whatever, like I don't want to say it's easier, but it seems like you could do it with, while you need a lot of capital, you could kind of do it, you just kind of have to have stock.
It's more mechanical, right?
It's a little more mechanical, you know, not to say you need to know what you're doing, but especially when it comes to the secondary market products. But, you know, the way Magic's been historically, and especially in the last 5 years, it's like if you just put if you get your hands on some collector sets, and some, you know, boxes of product, and you have commander stuff, commander decks, etc. You throw that on the wall, and you have a competitive price. Like people are just going to come and buy it. You know, like it's pretty much. Whereas generally for a long time, and I think it's changing a little. Warhammer requires a much more hands-on. Just putting it on the shelf was not enough. Like you had to be. There's a little bit more know-how required because you don't just hand a box to someone and they go home and they enjoy it. Like there's just more materials they need. The painting, the building, even the gaming part is a lot more complicated. You can't quite easily go play Warhammer online and get reps and learn the game that way. So that was something that was like, for us to do the Warhammer thing as a main pillar, it worked because we had all the Games Workshop experience, but not everyone is equipped to do that when they open a store. So that's why the card store is the most ubiquitous type of game store. It's like Magic, Pokemon, and then they'll throw on some pop dolls and board games.
Sure.
And off they go. Whereas like a pure dedicated store like ours is basically, it's like a Games Workshop plus because we'll have all of their products plus other games plus all these other paint ranges, etc. So in our biased opinion, I think it's a tougher ask to just throw Warhammer on the wall. But
I do like, my only pushback on that would be it's probably easier than ever to do that.
Yes.
And because we're living in an era where like Warhammer's so big and like people know what it is, and you've got
someone will be looking for X, and if I don't have it, they'll just Google the next store,
exactly,
and this nearby card store that might just have it on.
So
the wall.
there is a sort of like a mercenary level to that where like people need what they need, and this has been the true in cards forever. Is like if you're searching for a card, like you might have your hobby shop you check first that you like or whatever, but after that it's like, all bets are off. I'm not waiting for that guy to get it.
Yeah.
I need it. I want it. And the same is kind of true of Warhammer now. It's like, you don't have the War Dogs this week. Okay, I'm going to go, to my second, third place, fourth place.
Well, I don't know how many phone calls I've gotten about one of those items that's obviously sold out in the world because there's none left. And they'll be like, you're like the 9th store I've called or whatever.
And you're like, I love being number 9.
Yeah, I love being number 9.
I'm that guy's number 9. I'm that guy's number 9 girlfriend. I am some ugly chick that he will barely call or whatever. It's brutal, dude. Like, but it's funny. Those calls are funny because I'm like, you're just like, which number am I to this person? And then, sometimes you're their number 2.
And then I always make the dumb idea of being like trying to explain to them. I'm like, stop calling stores. No one has it because of this reason. They're physically gone. If
you've got to 9, you're probably you're probably out of luck. Yeah,
you might find one in a random country. But.
I always try to do that. It's so funny. I always try to do the right thing with people on the phone. Like at board games, this happens a lot too because board games go out of stock, and then I say to the person, I don't have it. Hold on, please. Yeah. I'm going to check the distributor for you and let you know if it's actually out of stock there, and that will inform, if you're going to be able to find it. Basically,
I mean, I'll go check the year it was made, and if it's 3 years old, I'll be like, you have no shot of getting this anymore.
Board games are tough. Board games are tough. But so we're in this interesting time where people are leaning hard on these like sure bets or whatever. And conversely, like if you're a small store that does cards and you've maybe like been paying attention to the last 5 years, that there's another downturn coming in the card world because there's always another downturn coming where sales decline, people are less interested in Magic, they get mad at the company, they start buying other things. So you're just kind of shoring up your bets by having another different type of product kind of there to bolster you a little bit, right, too. And we do the same thing, like we try to keep, I want to say 80% of our shop pure, in the sense that like the kind of type of business we want to run every day. And that's why we can get to the store and we actually want to do it, is because it's stuff we love and we can talk about it and stuff. So, and we try to keep the area, which is like 20% of the business, sort of small. And it's not an area of our expertise, but it's stuff we know we can sell to people who walk in off the street, and that helps pay the bills, right?
Sure.
That helps subsidize our silly decisions to carry our 20th paint range, to buy the new Warcrow Adventures box set from Corvus Belli, which is requires a bit of a leap of faith from us. Stuff like that, like it pays for those things. Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, I know.
We really should be just a Commander.
I know
Magic
that.
Store and we should only have 40K in Commander. The whole
I know that.
Down the middle, it should just be.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And maybe some Pokemon or whatever.
Yeah. No, it's true. We always say this. We're doing things on hard mode for pretty much no reason. Other than probably stubbornness or something. Yeah.
No, like you mentioned, the way we do it is keeps us from blowing our brains out or whatever. It makes the job more interesting and fun. And we're coming up on 10 years, so
there's a part,
it works, obviously.
There's a part of, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's a part of that, like, you're like, if I'm going to keep doing this, I have to like it.
Yeah.
And that's a thing you can afford after you can survive. Yeah. So, like, you're in your first few years, and you're just in survival mode.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get to a point, maybe you're in your 5th to 10th year, where you're like, okay, do I like this?
Yeah.
You know, maybe making enough money to survive now. Do I like this? How do I keep it so I like it? And for us, dropping Magic was one of those things.
Funny enough, yeah. It was, it was the grindiest of the grind, and it was also a bit of that era. That particular era was the start of the EV in boxes crashing.
Hard dive, yeah.
And kind of a. It's funny how COVID, how it like energized or fueled up some of these like games. Not to say that Magic was in trouble, but it was definitely like it was kind of like petering, and then COVID was like a ramp that just like skyrocketed it. And the sets and the products they do now are fantastic again. But like anyway, in that time, I just was like, the grindiness of trying to move boxes. Sell $3 worth of singles for 20 minutes of customer interaction or whatever it was. It was pain. So we probably left some money on the table long term. For sure. The psychological advantage or whatever you want to call it was massive. And we just kind of leaned into this what we're good at, obviously. So
that's the benefit of experience, right? So like new shops that are opening, like. When you have, you have to. We said this in other things like you kind of sometimes have to go through your own journey. You can't necessarily just take other people's word for it. You have to experience that yourself, and be like, I can imagine that for a lot of ways. If you're a card guy and you're like you have some Warhammer on the wall, and maybe it's like not moving great for a couple months, you're like, what the hell am I doing? Right. Like, why is this not selling? Like, and we felt that way too, right? So, and then you just get stressed out about it.
You're
like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I going through the extra motions for just a little bit of extra money?
I don't think viewers can really, unless they're game store owners, appreciate what happens when you like spend X thousands of dollars on a new asset that because like, you gotta take some chances, and you throw it on the wall and then just like nothing happens. And delivery guy interrupting us. And they and then you just get to stare at it day after day after day for sometimes months or years, which is it is crippling. It can be mentally like, and then you start questioning everything you do because you're just kind of like, why did I do this? How much? You just think of adding up the dollars in your head that's just sitting there. So it is tough, but it is part of the cycle that you have to. Just deal with. I can only imagine on the card store world front, like what happens when a set flops for some reason. You buy sometimes dozens or hundreds of boxes of products, and maybe you sell half or whatever. So that is tough. We our delivery people were early today for whatever reason.
We're a real store.
We're a real store. We promise. Yeah.
People are gonna be like, "Why didn't you edit that out?" I had to watch Jay talking to the camera.
I'm sorry.
He does have to edit it, so he's not gonna edit that out.
I'm not editing that out. No. God, no.
Hell no.
People have all these like things. They're like, you got to fix this.
They want you to do.
And I'm like, no, you already watched the video. Why?
I love. Honestly, I do appreciate when people give feedback, but also like, I always try to preface it with like, that this isn't my business, making the videos, right? Yeah. Like my business is like running a hobby shop, and then like we basically make a little bit of time each week to do these things.
Yes.
And then we have our families and stuff we have to deal with or whatever. But like, it has to be reasonable. Like I think that's the thing, right? People have to expect that.
And the purpose of the videos isn't to do. I mean, maybe one day it will be a little more, but at least in this current phase, let's just say that there isn't enough bucks rolling in to warrant,
Like they say, you want Jay to be a full-time editor? You got to put some money into Patreon, guys. Okay, like.
Well, they're gonna be like, not if Jay's doing it, because I goof up all the time. Right?
Oh man, that's okay.
Anyway, I'm doing more research on that front, and oh my god, it's
a lot. Yeah, this is a reason why people go to school for that stuff. Like it's not simple. I did a lot of it when I was a lot younger, and it's it's intense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but alas.
Yeah, I was droning on about the risks and rewards, and how it eats away at you when you make a bad call on a product. where you have where you assume it will do well and then it doesn't, and then you're just kind of like, yeah. You gotta have thick armor to take those bullets.
You do, and this is where reaching out to other people that you trust and developing relationships with other shops, positive ones if you can, helps a lot because you can bounce ideas off each other and share, and then maybe you can talk through some of your nervousness and get steal best practices from other people and that sort of stuff. That stuff can help a lot, but at the end of the day, ultimately, you're kind of on your own, and you're going to have to take some level of risk sometimes to have any level of success. But it's I guess I understand why these small places are doing it. It's just I just think it's hilarious. Like in a time when rent is at an all-time high.
Well, it's there is the economy is ramping back up slowly, but I think. Look, places, there's another thing, kind of side topic, maybe, it could be a separate topic if we ever do more videos in our Open a Hobby Store series.
We're stuck on part 5 still.
We're stuck on part 5. If we make a part 6, which we might, it's to do with this, and it's just, maybe it's just a societal capitalistic thing too, the need to always expand. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to expand, you need to increase sales to now pay for this expansion.
And you get to a point where let's say you've carried Warhammer 40,000, you get to a point where you can't expand that anymore, right? You have to go outside
bring
of that.
New things.
Yeah.
So if you're a card store, it might be bringing in minis. If you're a mini store, it might be bringing in more card games. At some point, you're going to have the 3-4 main things that are the best things or that make money, and then it's just down to fringe things. But yeah, the need to expand is an interesting one. I think for Chris and I more space would always be nice, but also there is something to be said about kind of keeping what you have and using it to because you're not expanding rapidly, you're also able to withstand some crazy market forces.
Physical constraints definitely keep you tight on your game.
That's true, because
you have to. You're if I'm going to bring something new in, what's going
out?
And it forces you to reevaluate your business constantly, which is a healthy way to be, right?
Yeah.
How much is this making us? Is this worth carrying anymore? Why am I giving this wall space? Am I giving this too much wall space? Too little wall space? That's all those sorts of fun stuff. Maybe this sort of turned into Opening a Hobby Store Part 6 by accident.
Kind of. Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you liking and subscribing if you can. And if you really like it, please check out our Patreon page. I really appreciate it. You help. Basically, the more people that put in on that, it gives us more incentive to make more videos each week. So that's kind of where our thought process is. We're kind of in that small little YouTube channel thing where we're growing, but in order to put more time in, we have to see some sort of benefit to it as well, right? Because
phase 1 is the early days growth stage.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Bye.